Lori was born on December 31, 1976. It was adopted by Thelma and Arulbel Soares. Her parents met when they served as missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Her parents instilled in her a love for her faith. After her parents separated, Lori and her mother moved to Orem, Utah, 40 miles south of Salt Lake City. Here she attended Orem High School, where she was known for her organization, determination, and fun personality. Lori's high school years marked a significant milestone for her, as she met Mark Hacking. Their relationship quickly blossomed, and they became known for their high school couple antics. They attended all the homecoming and proms together, appearing like any other young couple in love. Mark Hacking, known for his helpful nature, often spent time at Lori's home and took care of errands around her mother's house. He would even offer to fix things, earning him a special place in the hearts of Lori's family. Lori's brother jokingly expressed jealousy because Mark received more attention from Thelma, Lori, and his mother than he did. However, Lori's family genuinely appreciated Mark's willingness to assist and care for them. Lori and Mark's puppy love grew into a full romance, and on August 7, 1999, they married in Bountiful, Utah. By 2004, Lori was working as an assistant manager at a financial institution, while Mark, having just graduated from the University of Utah, had recently been accepted to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, in their medical school. Mark's plans to attend medical school were not a surprise, as he came from a prominent and intelligent family. Both his father and brothers were doctors, and another of his brothers worked for the government. In the summer of 2004, Lori and Mark planned to move from Utah to North Carolina. Lori, who was pregnant, was thrilled about the move, as was Lori's mother Thelma, who couldn't wait to be a grandmother. She particularly hoped for a little girl with big curls, like Lori. On July 19, 2004, Lori, a 30-year-old woman, mysteriously vanished without a trace. At approximately 5:15 a.m., who was 5 months pregnant at the time, had set off for a jog at Memory Grove Park near Creek City Canyon. It was her routine to head for work in Canyon City afterward. However, Lori never arrived that afternoon, prompting her boss to contact her husband Mark. Mark, immediately worried, called the police to report Lori's disappearance. Mark arrived at Memory Grove Park at 10:07 a.m., knowing that this was the final location where Lori was supposed to be, and found Lori's vehicle in the parking lot. Memory Grove Park was eerily quiet, and Mark's heart raced with fear. Patrol officers met him outside the park and briefed detectives on the circumstances surrounding Lori's disappearance. Patrol officers feared the worst, believing that Lori may have fallen into the canyon, gotten hurt, and become stranded in the dense woods. Given the nature of Lori's disappearance, the patrol officers believed that it was crucial to involve the homicide detectives. The steep walls of the canyon added to the urgency of the situation, as officers were concerned that the pregnant woman could have sustained injuries and be in need of immediate assistance. Lori Hacking's mysterious disappearance shocked the community and prompted an outpouring of support and assistance from friends and family. Her husband, Mark Hacking, appeared devastated as he pleaded for help in finding his missing wife. His public appeals for help generated attention from various media outlets, and he willingly spoke to any reporter who inquired about Lori's disappearance. He expressed deep concern and pleaded for anyone to assist with the search. Officers with the Salt Lake City Police Department, actively investigating the matter, called for a large-scale search effort at Memory Grove Park. They requested the assistance of at least 3,000 volunteers who would be willing to come out and help look for Lori or any evidence that she may have been there. The involvement of Mark's LDS Church played a crucial role in the case. Many members of the congregation rallied around the young couple, offering their support and assistance. Their presence at the search sites strengthened and encouraged Mark, who was facing immense pressure as the investigation unfolded. Numerous homes lined the walkway leading to Memory Grove Park, where Lori was allegedly last seen. The officers conducted a thorough canvass of the area, seeking information from anyone who might have seen or heard anything suspicious. Lori was easily recognizable with her distinctive bushy dark curls, and the officers believed her appearance would stand out to the residents. Their hopes were briefly dashed when one woman told police that she had seen Lori near Memory Grove that morning. However, this woman later withdrew her claim. As the search for Lori continued, the Salt Lake City Police Department set up a command post near the park's entrance. Mark's brothers arrived at the scene, as did Lori's mother, One of Mark's brothers suggested checking out a homeless encampment in the canyon, expressing his concerns regarding the involvement of these individuals in Lori's disappearance. The detectives recognized the importance of considering all possibilities and acknowledged the need to investigate the homeless encampment. They knew that unraveling the truth would not be easy, and every detail needed to be examined carefully. When detectives arrived at the home of Mark Hacking and Lori Hacking, they were already aware that, in most cases, when an individual goes missing, their partner usually commits the crime. In addition, the detectives considered the possibility that Lori was involved romantically with another person, and that this involvement may have contributed to her disappearance. The detectives requested permission from Mark to enter their apartment and obtain a recent photograph of Lori for their missing person flyer. Mark agreed, and the detectives were allowed to enter the apartment. Once inside, the detectives asked Mark if they could conduct a cursory look around the premises. Once again, Mark gave his consent. During the search, one of the detectives noticed a red purse in the residence. This purse belonged to Lori, and inside they found her wallet with identification and credit cards. The detectives wondered why Lori would have gone to Memory Grove Park for exercise and left her car parked near the entrance to the park, but not taken her bag with her. Further, the detective observed a large bouquet on the kitchen counter, leading her to believe that Mark bought these flowers for Lori as an apology. The detective noticed this pattern in marriages, where husbands bought large bouquets to express remorse. This discovery sparked her curiosity, and she wondered if there were underlying issues with Mark and Lori's marriage. Upon entering the bathroom, the detective observed that it appeared spotless and had recently been scrubbed clean. The room reeked of bleach, indicating that the space had recently been cleaned with disinfectant. This discovery piqued the detective's interest, as it suggested that someone had taken great care to erase any trace of evidence. Moving on to the bedroom, the detective observed a new set of sheets on the bed. They were still brand new, with noticeable creases and no indication of having been washed. As she glanced into Lori's jewelry box, the detective noticed Lori's wedding band, which seemed unusual. The detective wondered why a happily married woman would not wear her wedding band. Although the evidence was circumstantial, the detective began forming a theory about Mark's involvement in Lori's disappearance. Each piece of evidence presented in the investigation seemed insignificant on its own. However, when combined, these items painted a disturbing picture. Lori's absence raised red flags, and suspicions began to mount against her husband Mark. As the search for Lori intensified, various law enforcement agencies joined forces to try and locate the missing woman. K-9 units were deployed to search Memory Grove Park, using their keen sense of smell to comb through the dense undergrowth. Officers on horseback and bikes ventured into the steep canyon, diligently navigating the challenging terrain. Choppers equipped with state-of-the-art cameras and sensors soared overhead, providing a panoramic view of the park from above. Lori's disappearance had a profound impact on her family, including her in-laws. Douglas Hacking, Mark's father, spoke out to the media, sharing his unwavering belief that Lori had been abducted. He stated that the family did not entertain the notion that Lori had run away, as they knew she was a responsible and devoted person. The entire family was deeply worried and concerned about her well-being, leaving no one untouched by their anguish. Mark Hacking met with the detective at the police department for an interview. The detective posed questions regarding the state of his marriage, and Mark assured the detective that everything was fine. However, considering the mounting evidence and the suspicions surrounding him, this claim seemed suspicious. According to Mark, he and Lori were packing their belongings to move to North Carolina, where he would soon be starting medical school. This revelation piqued the interest of the detective, who couldn't help but be intrigued. The detective, curious about Mark's chosen specialty, asked Mark what his area of expertise was going to be. To the detective's surprise, Mark replied that he would be specializing in oncology. Seeking further insight into Mark's credibility, the detective decided to test his knowledge. She asked Mark how to spell the word oncology. However, Mark was unable to provide the correct answer. As they continued the interview, the detective observed Mark's behavior closely. Although Mark appeared to be crying, she never witnessed tears coming from his eyes. This discrepancy raised suspicions, leading the detective to believe Mark was putting on a show. Deep down, the detective had a gut feeling that something bad had happened to Lori, and Mark was responsible. However, she sincerely hoped Lori could still be alive, waiting to be rescued. The detectives approached Mark and requested permission to search his red truck. As they meticulously combed through the vehicle, Mark stood right alongside them. On the seat, the detective discovered a receipt for a mattress company dated the same day that Lori went missing. This discovery raised several questions for the detective. Why did Mark, whose pregnant wife had vanished, purchase a shiny new mattress on the same day? However, as the detective prepared to question Mark about the receipt, he noticed that the witness had mysteriously disappeared. Determined to uncover more evidence, the detective returned to Mark's apartment. This time, the detective requested Mark's signature on an official consent form, permitting them to conduct a more extensive search. Mark agreed, allowing the detectives to enter his house. Once inside, the detective confronted Mark with the receipt they had found in his possession. They noticed a particular sight as they confronted him: a new mattress on Mark and Lori's bed. However, the box spring did not match the mattress. The prints and the colors of each item were noticeably different, raising suspicions among the detectives. This discovery served as a catalyst for further questioning. The detective confronted Mark with the unusual circumstance and questioned him about the mattress. They observed that the mattress and the box spring did not match, leading them to believe that it may have been purchased recently. Mark's reaction indicated that the detective had hit a nerve. As the detectives continued their search of Mark and Lori's apartment, they stumbled upon a discovery that raised suspicion. On the nightstand next to Mark's bed, they discovered several knives. Upon closer examination, the detectives noticed that one of the knives had been hidden in a sheath. Upon removing the knife, they noticed red stains on the blade, which they believed were human blood. However, when questioned, Mark claimed that he used the knife for hunting purposes. The discovery of the knife prompted the detectives to discontinue the consensual search of the residence and call in a crime scene investigator team. They began working diligently to obtain a search warrant, as they firmly believed something sinister had occurred inside Lori's home. While investigating the premises, the detectives made another intriguing observation. In the parking lot, the detectives noticed a dumpster. Upon peering inside, they discovered that it was empty. However, at the bottom of the dumpster, the detective spotted a package for bedsheets, 2 pillows, and packing for a mattress. This discovery further fueled their suspicions. Their investigation led them to believe that Mark had killed Lori and disposed of her body in a dumpster. When the detective spoke to her superior sergeant about the suggestion regarding the possibility that Lori's remains might be present at the landfill, the sergeant dismissed these concerns as too extensive and costly. However, as the sergeant was driving home, he stopped by the LDS church that Mark and Lori had attended. He noticed a dumpster in the parking lot, which caught his attention. Upon closer examination, the sergeant discovered that the mattress inside the dumpster had the pillow top cut off, matching the description of the box spring in Lori and Mark Hacking's home. The discovery made by the sergeant confirmed that the detective's initial suggestion was valid and that Lori's body was likely located at the landfill. Around the same time, the officer on night watch called to inform the police working on Lori's disappearance that Mark had been spotted at a local motel, running around naked. This incident further fueled suspicion surrounding Mark's involvement and added to the body of evidence suggesting his involvement in Lori's disappearance. An officer arrived at the motel and encountered Mark. The officer noticed that Mark was acting strangely and was completely naked. However, the officer noticed that Mark had the wherewithal to put on his shoes before running around the parking lot, which led the officer to believe that Mark was faking his behavior. Someone in their right mind would not have even realized they did not have shoes on. Mark's brother was called to the motel and assisted the officer in transporting Mark to the hospital at the University of Utah. As the investigation of Lori's disappearance continued, detectives received information from officials at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. The officials contacted the detectives and informed them that Mark Hacking, who was scheduled to start an oncology program at the university, was not registered for classes. Furthermore, they had stated that they had never heard of Mark Hacking. That afternoon, the detective visited Mark at the hospital. The detective was surprised that Mark no longer exhibited any signs of emotional distress. Instead, he seemed relaxed and content. Mark was seated comfortably, engrossed in eating a pizza and watching television. The detective initiated the interview, reiterating the same line of questioning that had been conducted previously. Mark continued to stick to the story that Lori had never returned home from her morning jog. As the interview progressed, Doug, Mark's father, was present. Doug pressed Mark, urging him to tell the truth if he had done something. However, Mark met his father's gaze with a determined expression, maintaining that he had not done anything. Confident in his son's integrity, Doug believed Mark's words. After thorough investigations, the detectives discovered that Mark was not enrolled in medical school in North Carolina. They confronted Thelma, Lori's mother, with this information, hoping to shed light on Mark's true intentions. Thelma initially refused to believe the detectives, dismissing their claims as mere speculations. However, her resolve faltered when the detective revealed that Mark had never graduated from the University of Utah. This revelation left Thelma in a state of shock and disbelief. Thinking back to past events, Thelma realized that there had been signs that something was not quite right. During Mark's graduation ceremony at the University of Utah, she heard him vomiting in the bathroom. The illness prevented him from attending the ceremony, but feeling sorry for her son-in-law, Thelma took a picture of him in the cap and gown later in their apartment. Initially, Thelma remained loyal to her son-in-law Mark, thinking there was no way he would ever hurt Lori. However, the detectives believed that he was a fraudster who had initially made himself sick in order to avoid having to tell his wife and mother-in-law that he was not graduating. The detectives believed that Mark's lies had finally caught up with him, and this played a role in Lori's disappearance. On July 20, 2004, 24 hours into the investigation of Lori's disappearance, a store clerk from a nearby shop contacted the detectives to report an incident on the evening of July 18 at 9:45 p.m. The clerk stated that Lori and her boyfriend Mark had entered the store and purchased a soda. According to the information provided, Mark exhibited strange behavior and approached the store clerk, whispering instructions not to inform Lori that he had frequently purchased cigarettes there. Upon reviewing the CCTV footage from the store during that time, the detectives were able to confirm the clerk's account. The video showed Lori dressed in green scrub-style pants and a tan shirt, and Mark entering the shop. The detectives believed that this was the last confirmed sighting of Lori alive. The search efforts for Lori continued for 3 days, with hundreds of people coming out to assist in the search. Thelma, Lori's mother, made an emotional plea to the public, begging for the return of her only daughter. She pleaded that if anyone had Lori, they should let her go. Because it was July, the temperatures in the canyon reached upwards of 100 degrees. The scorching heat made it grueling for the searchers, but their mission to find Lori continued relentlessly. However, while this was going on, Mark was in the hospital recovering from a mental health episode. His brothers, growing increasingly suspicious of Mark's involvement in Lori's disappearance, pressed him again for answers. This time Mark confessed that he did something. He admitted to having killed Lori. According to Mark, Lori had discovered that he wasn't a graduate of the University of Utah, who was supposedly attending medical school in North Carolina. This revelation shattered Lori's trust in Mark, leaving her devastated. She felt that her whole life had been built on a lie. Before Lori could file for divorce, Mark decided to take matters into his own hands. He shot and disposed of her body in a dumpster. Once Mark confessed to his brothers, and then the detectives, the search for Lori in the canyon was called off and moved to the landfill, and nearly 3 dozen officers showed up at the 10-acre landfill to search for Lori's body. Between the 2 days when the detectives believed Lori's body had been picked up in a dumpster and disposed of in the landfill, nearly 4,000 tons of trash had been dumped there, which presented a significant challenge for investigators as they had to navigate an overwhelming volume of debris. The search for Lori was exhaustive and physically demanding, with temperatures reaching soaring heights. The search for Lori was a coordinated effort involving numerous agencies and professionals. Cadaver dogs and earth movers were utilized to assist in locating any potential evidence. These specialized tools helped narrow down the search area and provide crucial leads. At 8:20 a.m. on October 1, 2004, human remains were uncovered in the landfill. This discovery was a significant breakthrough in the case, offering hope for a resolution to the mystery of Lori's disappearance. The remains were meticulously examined and subjected to a meticulous identification process. Through the use of dental records, the remains were later confirmed to be Lori Hacking. This crucial information provided a definitive answer to her desperate search, offering a shred of closure to her family. In April 2005, Mark Hacking, Lori's husband, pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. Mark was sentenced to 6 years to life in prison on June 6, 2005. The Utah State Board of Pardons subsequently announced that Mark would be ineligible for parole until 2035. Lori's family decided to remove Mark Hacking's last name from her headstone. This decision was taken to honor Lori's memory and assert her independence in the face of Mark's actions. By removing Mark's last name, Lori's family sought to emphasize her individuality and the strength she possessed throughout her life. 1 year after Mark Hacking's conviction for the murder of his wife Lori Hacking, it came to light that he had been engaging in illicit activities while incarcerated in the Central Utah Correctional Facility in Gunnison, Utah. It was discovered that Mark had been selling personal items, including auto spares, hand tracing, and other prison forms, on an online website called Murder Auction. According to prison officials, Mark initially denied the allegations, but upon further investigation, he agreed to cease his online sales activity. This discovery has sparked outrage and renewed concern about the integrity of prison systems.